The Rising Tide of Burnout, Strategies for Combating Workplace Stress Abstract. This article examines how burnout has become normalized in contemporary workplace culture, analyzing its systemic causes and organizational impacts. It explores three key contributing factors: the rise of constant connectivity through digital technologies that eliminate work-life boundaries, performance-oriented cultures that breed chronic stress through metrics and comparison, and the blurring of professional and personal domains that prevents psychological detachment essential for recovery. The article demonstrates how these normalized patterns not only harm employee well-being but also undermine organizational performance through increased absenteeism, turnover, and diminished creativity. Rather than accepting burnout as inevitable, the authors propose evidence-based preventive strategies that organizations can implement, including establishing clear boundaries, humanizing performance metrics, fostering autonomy, implementing flexible scheduling, cultivating supportive team dynamics, training managers, and tracking engagement metrics alongside financial indicators. Burnout has become entrenched in modern organizational culture, with devastating consequences for both employee well-being and business performance. What was once considered an extreme outcome is now widely accepted as an inevitable part of professionally ambitious lives. However, this normalization obscures burnout's roots and prevents leaders from implementing lasting change. Today, we will examine key factors contributing to normalized burnout, such as technological connectivity, performance culture, and the lack of boundaries between work and personal life. The rise of constant connectivity, always-on digital technology, has blurred the lines between work and non-work hours, making true respite increasingly elusive. The rapid proliferation of smartphones, laptops, and other devices over the past decade has given rise to a 24/7 work mentality. Kaiser and Cortina, 2007. Even on evenings, weekends and vacations, employees feel compelled to monitor emails and messages out of a misplaced sense of obligation or fear of falling behind. Aeon, 2020. The loss of separation between domains fuels constant cognitive activation that eventually depletes mental resources and self-regulation. Sonnentag, 2012. In the financial services industry, this constant connectivity takes a particularly heavy toll. Investment banks and trading firms demand around-the-clock availability from employees to respond to market fluctuations. Scholes, 2019. Many staffers spend evenings and weekends obsessively refreshing screens and communicating with overseas offices. Without enforced break periods, burnout becomes the inevitable endpoint of this always-on work model. Performance culture breeds chronic stress. Today's results-oriented, productivity-focused workplace breeds chronic stress as the new defining feature of professional life. With data-driven performance metrics and public leaderboards creating an always-on work environment, employees feel pressured to optimize every minute of their day for measurable outputs. Brown, 2014. This creates a vicious cycle where fulfilling one deadline simply leads to taking on more work without rest or replenishment. In technology companies notorious for excessive workloads and public shaming of underperformers, this high-output, comparison-based culture often leaves young employees physically and emotionally spent after just a few years. Streitfeld, 2018. Constant self-monitoring and maximizing for key performance indicators, KPIs, satisfies metrics but depletes individuals' sense of autonomy, competence and social connection, essential buffers against burnout. Deci and Ryan, 2000. When companies over-index on measurable outputs without considering human well-being or limitations, burnout becomes the downstream cost of such short-term thinking. Sustainable success depends on nurturing both business results and employee resilience. Blurred boundaries enable always-on culture. The expectation of constant contact has normalized bringing work into personal spaces and non-work hours through mobile devices, making it difficult for employees to fully detach. Chesley. 2014. This denies recovery time, a key component of managing stress and mitigating burnout. Sonnentag. 2001. As boundaries dissolve between professional obligations and personal life, family and leisure activities lose their refreshing and re-energizing qualities. For professional services firms where client demands already challenge work-life balance, remote technology further enables an always-on mindset. Eichhoff et al. 2007. Consultants, account executives, and investment managers now feel pressured to respond to emails at all hours to maintain availability and client satisfaction. While mobility provides flexibility, its downside becomes the loss of sanctuary needed to psychologically detach from work demands. Dirks and Bakker. 2014. Without buffers between domains, strain accumulates until individuals lose capacity to self-regulate energy levels and experiences of workload feel uncontrollable. This chronic tension stemming from boundarylessness normalizes being constantly tapped into work via technology and sets employees up for eventual burnout. The organizational cost of unchecked burnout. The human toll of normalized burnout extends far beyond individual suffering. Unaddressed, it contributes to a range of negative organizational outcomes that impair business performance and profitability. Burnt-out employees exhibit increased absenteeism, presenteeism, being physically present but lacking productivity, and turnover, all draining the bottom line. Aronson et al. 2017. Disengaged staff also show diminished discretionary effort, creativity, and willingness to champion company goals. In knowledge-based and client service industries especially, employee well-being and engagement directly impact client experience. New business development and retention of lucrative accounts. Kalyanan and Ajovu. 2015. Yet many companies fail to recognize this crucial linkage, continuing short-sighted practices that wear out human capital without replenishment. This type of organizational, chronic stress hinders collaborative cultures and continuous improvement so essential for competitive advantage. Schofeli and Taris. 2014. By dismissing burnout as normal and accepting associated costs as inevitable overheads, leaders sustain conditions that undermine performance and profitability in the long run. A paradigm shift is needed to prioritize employee wellness as a strategic necessity, not just a nice-to-have perquisite. When companies invest to prevent burnout proactively, both human and business outcomes improve sustainably. Organizational solutions for prevention over treatment rather than accepting burnout as fated. Forward-thinking leaders implement a multi-pronged approach of policy, process and culture changes to cultivate resilience at scale. Research shows prevention holds far greater promise than reactively trying to fix already depleted employees. Schofeli et al. 2009. By understanding and addressing systemic drivers, organizations can foster a sustainable engagement culture where burnout no longer takes root. Key evidence-based recommendations include: establish clear work-life boundaries, discourage excessive after-hours communication with strict core-hour policies supplemented by technical deterrents, automatic out-of-office messages, scheduling limits. Normalize employees fully detaching from work during non-core hours through leadership modeling. Humanize performance metrics, shift focus from hourly targets and public rankings toward competency development, meaningful work and career growth. Address both task and relationship elements of jobs to enhance autonomy and sense of purpose. Foster autonomy and trust in remote work. Limit micromanaging mobile employees and convey confidence in their judgment away from direct supervision. Provide support without undue oversight to maintain motivation through self-determination. Implement schedule flexibility and time-off policies. Allow flexible start-end times. Comp time for overtime worked, sabbaticals and unlimited, rolling paid time off to support work-life integration and recovery from exhaustion between intense periods. Cultivate supportive team dynamics, foster camaraderie and accountability through regular social interactions to buffer stress. Encourage role modeling of healthy boundaries at all levels to establish new workplace norms. Prioritize manager training in employee wellness, equip people leaders with skills to proactively identify burnout risks. Empower direct reports and role model work-life integration through policy and behaviors set from the top. Measure and publicly track engagement metrics, benchmark employee well-being. Satisfaction and resilience indicators periodically and prominently alongside productivity and financials to keep organizational health and culture front of mind for continuous improvement. Conclusion: by understanding burnout's systemic causes and implementing multiple mutually reinforcing solutions, organizations can shift their culture away from short-term output focus and an always-on mindset that normalizes human depletion. Leaders must challenge assumptions that burnout represents an inevitable cost of doing business in today's workplace. With research-backed preventive strategies and a sustained commitment to employee wellness as a strategic priority, companies can cultivate resilience at scale and make engagement, not exhaustion, the new cultural standard. This paradigm shift benefits both individuals and business performance over the long run through a more sustainable approach to work.